alignment, which has certainly made many people increasingly unhappy. You think of the likes of the famous Eurosceptic MPs in Parliament, the Maastricht Treaty, the Lisbon Treaty, those things that they felt literally stepped people away from the European Economic Community area. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you with a better look at the newspapers and more of them, hopefully, at 11:30. Thank you. Well, we're going to leave the papers there for now as we look towards 11 o'clock and the moment of Brexit, the moment that will, for good or ill, usher in a new era for this country. Nowhere is that deadline more eagerly awaited than in Parliament Square, where Anna Jones is standing by.
Anna, thanks very much indeed. Yes, welcome to Parliament Square opposite the Houses of Parliament, where we've got thousands of Brexit supporters here celebrating the countdown to that big moment at 11 o'clock. You can probably hear I'm competing with a voice behind me. Nigel Farage is on the stage at the moment and the crowd are very excited about it, waving their Union Jacks. And there have been a number of speakers. We've had Wetherspoon's Tim Martin. We've also had former MEPs Richard Tice and Anne Widdecombe as well, who the crowd were very excited about. There's been music and there's been comedy, and they've been singing along to Rule Britannia and the final countdown. A lot of people here very keen to celebrate. They want to be triumphant despite the Prime Minister's calls for a lack of triumphalism. It is an exciting mood here. Oh yes, here we are at Morley. We're standing outside now of the rugby club where in under 10 minutes there's going to be an enormous fireworks display. The mood here has been jubilant, celebratory all night really. People saying it is quite simply the day they've been waiting for more than 3 years. Just take a look, everyone. They've enjoyed a drink, they've enjoyed waving their flags. How would you sum up tonight?
Amazing! It's a double celebration. It's my birthday, so double trouble. It's amazing.
And Poland is supporting Brexit as well. There you go, Poland's really nice.
Some very, very happy people here in Morley awaiting those fireworks in just under 10 minutes.
Well, here in Parliament Square, several thousand people have gathered to mark the departure from the European Union. Nigel Farage, a pivotal man, of course, in the Brexit saga, is now addressing the crowd. He started talking about 10 minutes ago. He was introduced on stage to the sounds of the Swedish band Europe and their song The Final Countdown. We've also heard from speakers like Richard Tice, who's been saying that, you know, this is a hugely significant moment for the country as he rallied the crowd. This is the first step, really, towards reinstating our sovereign pride in the country. A truly historic moment for Brexiteers. But yes, several thousand people here. You can see all of the Union Jacks in the background. People here have travelled from all over the country, coming from places like Yorkshire, further afield than that. Many people from London area as well. But a huge moment for Brexit supporters as we head towards that historic moment of 11 o'clock.
In Edinburgh there is music, there is some cheering, but the air generally, the atmosphere is melancholic, a party trying to break out. But if you look around me, there are the trappings of an alliance lost, tea lights on the water feature outside the Scottish Parliament here, flowers laid in recognition and remembrance indeed of the passing of Britain's relationship with the EU. There is a subdued atmosphere, yes, but I would say an air of defiance, a determination among several thousand people here from around the world, certainly from around Europe. That's what the flags suggest, a determination that Scotland will return to the EU at some stage, which of course in turn invigorates the independence debate north of the border.
Here on the Northern Irish border, there's a huge sense of relief that we're not reporting a no-deal Brexit, bringing with it the prospect of customs posts and regulatory checks. But there's also real concern about what will happen if there is no free trade deal at the end of the transition period. It would be virtually impossible to exaggerate the significance of this moment. Northern Ireland is about to leave the European Union. The Republic of Ireland will remain in the European Union, and that makes this arguably the most most defining moment for this island since it was partitioned almost 100 years ago.
Well, in Brussels, Brits have gathered not to celebrate but to mourn Brexit. It might look like a bit of a party there behind me, but really people are drowning their sorrows. Many people gathered here this evening are going to be losing their jobs in just a few moments' time. No longer employees of the European Parliament or other EU institutions. There have been plenty of tears this evening, the lighting of candles. We saw the Union flag removed from outside the European Parliament and inside the Council. So very emotional, and whilst many on the EU side are going to be glad to see the back of the likes of Nigel Farage and his Brexit MEPs, they are genuinely sad to be saying goodbye to a member state.
Michelle Clifford, live there in Brussels. Thank you very much indeed. A final then from our economics editor, Ed Conway, and from our political editor, Beth Rigby. Ed, to you first of all. This is such a big moment, isn't it? Such an important moment in the economy of this country at the very least.
Yeah, that's right. For the past 3.5 years, there's been so much talk about what is our future relationship with the EU and indeed with other countries going to be. What is our economic destiny going to be? Well, in 3 and a bit moments, that talk becomes action. We can actually start negotiating our future. That is an enormous moment for the UK economy. It's an enormous moment for the global economy and for politics for many, many years to come. So although your life might not change immediately, it is beginning to change. And this is that epochal moment where the UK breaks free and starts to work out what its sovereign right, what its sovereign destiny is going to be. It's enormous, Anna, and we will see what happens.
One of the people who delivered Brexit, Nigel Farage, Brexit Party leader, is on his feet in Parliament Square. The other one, Beth Rigby, is in the building behind us. What will Boris Johnson be doing and feeling right now?
Well, I think he will be quietly celebrating. It was Brexit that catapulted him to the leadership of the Conservative Party. It was his promise to deliver Brexit that helped win him that majority. And now he is tasked in writing a new chapter for our country, an end of a near 50-year relationship with the EU, a new chapter for the UK that he will have to help write. And it has been 1,316 days since that referendum, and now it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds until it finally happens. Twice delayed, through 2 prime ministers, 2 general elections, and now the moment is here, and it's a massive moment in British history.
The Prime Minister's talked about unity. Has the healing already started after that election, do you think, with the realisation that this moment in 2 minutes is happening?
I think that what happened after the referendum was all the division and the rancour and the fighting over whether Brexit would happen. It ended in such awful stalemate last year that I think the sense now that I picked up when I've been around the country over the past week or so was a sense of relief that it's actually now going to happen. But this is going to be a hard chapter of British history to write. He's got to level up the country, as he says. He's also got to do a trade deal.
Beth Rigby, Ed Conway, thank you very much indeed. So, 1 minute 22 until the UK leaves the European Union and enters a transition of 11 months with all that wrangling to come. So there it is. The UK has left the European Union. 47 years of history brought to an end in the name of sovereignty and independence. Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, has told the nation to prepare for a new act in the history of the UK. It is a moment of real national renewal and change, he said, as he made a plea for the country to move on and unite. It is the end of a political journey which has removed 2 prime ministers, prompted 2 elections, multiple parliamentary defeats, hundreds of hours of political debate, fractious, accusatory, divisive. An act of withdrawal delayed 3 times as Parliament wrestled with enacting the wishes of the British people in the referendum of June 2016. It has done just that. Let's go then to Parliament Square and Anna Jones.
Well, welcome to Parliament Square. Welcome to Parliament Square, opposite the House of Parliament in the heart of Westminster. As Brexit supporters here, thousands of them have gathered and are celebrating the moment that Britain leaves the European Union. As you can see, Nigel Farage, that's Richard Tice there on the stage. We just heard from Nigel Farage as well. A quick word from Claire Fox, former MEP. A big moment.
It's a big moment. It's so nice to be here because the people who really are the heroes here tonight are the voters. They really have taken... Somebody just said to me, my God, it's taken 3.5 years. They tried to bully us. They call us every name under the sun. All we did was vote, as they asked us to do in a referendum. And who would have thought it would take so long? But it's such a relief because democracy has been honoured. It's such a lovely atmosphere here tonight as well.
Well, yes, and the Prime Minister has focused on the need to heal the nation now. But how important do you think it is to celebrate? Does this feel like the right atmosphere to you?
Yeah, of course it does, because I don't disagree with Boris Johnson saying heal. And actually, Nigel Farage made the point that Tony Blair, Peter Mandelson have today conceded that it's over and we now have to work together. I mean, we should have done that in 2016. I mean, you have a vote. I assumed that what would happen was we'd all then say, OK. And a lot of Remainers I know, a lot of my friends voted Remain, and they just said, we're very sad to leave, but now we'll get on with it. We didn't think it was going to then turn into this absolute travesty of, you know, Parliament getting in the way of what people had voted for and so on and so forth. So I think that now it's a new start. Anyone, whether you're a Remainer or a Leaver, and I hope we get rid of those phrases, who wants to change anything can now believe that the ballot box works. That's important, isn't it? You know, a year ago, I think I was on Sky Paper Review with you, Anna, and I said in March last year, I remember it, it's over, we've lost. And I really feared that people would completely lose trust in politicians, that they would think there was no point voting for anything anymore. And that's the only reason I got involved in electoral politics, because I was so frightened of the result of that. So now everyone will know it's worth voting. It's worth believing that the ballot box can change things. It's worth knowing that all those years ago when ordinary people fought for the franchise, when the suffragettes went out and fought for the vote, that in the end it can change history, and that's what we've done.
As of tonight, little actually changes for most people. They won't feel those changes now, will they? And a lot could happen over the next 11 months. What do you hope will happen by the end of this year? OK,
so that's the thing is, it was an important psychological win in a way. We had to kind of get through this bit. None of us, I don't think anyone in this crowd has got any illusions that now, oh, it's all going to be fine and, you know, there's going to be sunny uplands. A lot of the more hardcore Remainers think that we all think that now we're all going to have lots of jobs and money, and that's what it was all about. But I think that once you have a situation where, actually, ironically, British politicians can no longer scapegoat the EU. They've got to now look us in the eye and say that whatever they do are accountable to us. And the voters will now be able to say to them, you let us down, or you've got to do something different. But I think that what we can expect is long, entangled, laborious, painful negotiations that might not deliver everything that we want. However, Boris Johnson is on a loan of millions of votes. They're not his. Everybody didn't just become a Conservative. And so he's now got to think, if he doesn't get a good deal by the end of 2020, we've got to get out anyway, otherwise, my goodness. And also, I think, you know, even the fact that this country now talks about the Northern Highlands, and nobody ever talked about them before, that's a big change. I'm excited about the possibility, but nothing's given.
OK, Claire, we'll let you get back to the party.
Thank
Claire
you.
Fox there, thanks very much indeed. So from Parliament Square, back to you in Downing Street, Anna.
Yes, thank you very much indeed. So red, white and blue, catching, as you can see, the light there on the Union flag above number 10 Downing Street, the party underway. Inside, no doubt, Boris Johnson celebrating with those who drove vote leave, who drove this referendum result back in 2016, and has now delivered Brexit this evening. One place they will be celebrating is Morley, West Yorkshire. Katerina Vitozzi is there. Katerina.
Yes, just take a look in front of me where the fireworks are still going. They went pretty much on the bang of 11 p.m. The music started. There were enormous cheers here, chants of Boris, and quite a few people laughing as well at the fact that apparently Andrea Jenkins MP announced just before this display that these fireworks were paid for by the European Union. That was something which seemed to go down pretty well with the audience here. And too many who had told me they never really thought they'd see this day coming. Hello, well, you, congratulations. This is the day you've been
This is what we've been waiting for years. My first vote was against the EU in 1975. We stood 47 years of this, and now we're out. Freedom!
And is that really how it feels? You feel utterly euphoric. It feels like freedom.
Absolutely, yes. Free from the shackles of the EU.
And is that something you share, that sense of freedom?
Make no mistake about it. From the EEC to the EU, we're always vehicles, always was, still is, and always will be a vehicle to a federal Europe. Tonight, we will no longer ever be part of that federal Europe.
So what next? What next?
The future is looking very bright for England. We have always been a nation of traders, and we will be trading again. Wow, the future is bright.
What about sort of the divisions that Brexit has caused? Do you worry about that in your community?
No, I think that togetherness will prevail eventually, and the Remainers will see the errors of their ways.
Tomorrow morning, when there's no plague of locusts, the sky hasn't fallen in, house prices haven't risen, there's food, there's medicines, then they'll realise that Project Fear were exactly what it was. Project Fear.
Well, gents, I'll let you get back to your celebrations. The fireworks look like they look like they've come to an end, but you can hear.
Bye-bye, EU. Bye-bye, EU. Bye-bye.
That song, I think, will be one that is repeated a lot over the course of this evening. Back to you, Anna.
Oh, goodness me. Noisy, but we get the picture. Katerina, thank you very much indeed. 1975 was the referendum mentioned there. That was the one